Wikipedia.
Oh, Foxy, it's your birthday. Not for real, just for play. This is Cree Summer, and Moana Nui will be right back.
Good evening to all of my people out there in the Moana Nui YouTube space. Welcome to another, actually, I think this is a joint broadcast between Blerdography and Moana Nui. This is Black Men in Nerdy Spaces. You may ask yourself, why are you here? Joy, you are not that. But I am here as your moderator extraordinaire. I am just here to make sure the conversation keeps flowing tonight because we have more than abundant representation of Black men in nerdy spaces. And because we do, I will go ahead and let them introduce themselves, starting with my new friend, the Husky Hokage.
What's going on? Sorry, what's going on, everybody? I am the Husky Hokage. I am your gaming content creator. Stream, talk about games. We play games. I have a podcast called Victory Road, a gaming podcast where we talk about games. We interview gamers, streamers of that sort. You can find me just about everywhere under the Husky Hokage. TikTok is where I'm mostly am for the most part. So definitely follow me on there. I have a gaming question of the week we do every week. Try to get engagement from that. But yeah, that's about it. Oh, one last thing. I also am a writer and contributor to gamersocialclub.ca. We do game reviews. It's game reviews and done by gamers basically.
Okay.
And so I've been around for about a year and we're doing pretty well so far. So definitely check us out over there as well.
Okay. All right. So you heard it here. Next up, we have Tony Cade of Challenges, Games, and Comics.
Hey, I'm Tony Cade with Challenges, Games, and Comics. I'm the owner. I've been doing this for about 30 years now. I'm also the director of the Atlanta Sci-Fi and Fantasy Expo, and I'm also an indie comic book publisher. And basically, I've been involved with Blerdom, since the late 80s when I started as a staff photographer for the Atlanta Fantasy Fair and Dragon Con. And basically, I'm a Blerd community advocate. We hold like many different events, here at my store. We have, artists to get together. We run summer camps, STEAM summer camps for girls. We do classes. I'm all about trying to support the community and help everybody out.
Wonderful. Yeah, excellent work. Glad to hear it. Next up, we have Furious.
Hi, my name is Furious. I am a general all-purpose nerd. I love damn near everything nerdy, from video games to anime to sci-fi to traditional nerdy things like just math, science, and engineering. In my day job, I work as an engineer, and in my after-hours job, I play video games.
Okay. All right. Next up, Anthony.
Hello, I'm Anthony. I'm one of the co-hosts of the Fandom Hybrid podcast. We are a pop culture, sci-fi, fantasy podcast. We've been going strong since COVID. I'm also a contributor to the Sci-Fi Party Line podcast. I've been the assistant director of media track at MonsteramaCon. Currently, I'm on the paneling committee for Atlanta Comic Convention. And I used to write video game reviews for blogcritic.com or .org, but that was so long ago, I don't think it really matters anymore. And I feel like I've been a Blerd like all my life, as far back as I can remember. I've been going to conventions since 2000. I've been a panelist at multiple conventions over the last 5 years: Dragon Con, Conjuration, Nerd de Gras, MonsteramaCon, Atlanta Comics Convention. So, I'm just like, I'm also an all-purpose blurred and nerd, you could say.
Okay. And last but not least, coming to us from the Witness Protection Program, we have Skip 88.
What's going on, everybody? It's your boy SKIP.88TF from Blurred Oval. The founder and creator of Blurred Oval Incorporated, which is a 501c3 nonprofit organization in the city of Birmingham. We celebrate the Black excellence inside the nerd community while giving back to the community in a nerdy way. We are a podcast, and I'm a content creator, and I'm also being featured on many panels at DragonCon, MomoCon, AWA, and if I don't seem like myself, I just been dehydrated, so I'm trying to get myself back to square one. So I'm drinking a lot of Pedialyte right now. So yeah, I'm here.
Yeah. Get there. And last but not least, coming in like Eddie Kane Jr. in 5 Heartbeats, sliding into the room, we have Mark. Mark, please introduce yourself.
What's going on, everybody? It's me, Mark from Blerdkast. Sorry I'm fashionably late, but Ranger Stop and Pop took a lot out of me this weekend, but I'm here.
All right. A little bit more about Blerdography, if you like.
So everybody knows Blerdography is my YouTube channel where I like to interview people and tell their nerdy stories, get to know them, and highlight who they are, and just tell their stories and just have fun. Plus some cosplay photography.
Okay. That was a great lead in. I think the first thing I want to talk about is the cosplay world. As we talk about nerdy spaces, I think maybe the most recent to hit the mainstream zeitgeist is cosplay. Like, it used to be something that people only did on Halloween. Then it was something people kind of did when nobody was looking. Then it was something they did in the backyard with their friends, but didn't really tell anybody. Now there's whole conventions and how-to YouTube channels, and people are famous for their cosplay, which has changed a lot over the last 20, 30 years. Now, being Black in a cosplay space, for those of you that have done it, what has that experience been like for you? The intersection of being a blurred, which for anybody that doesn't know stands for like a Black nerd, and also being a cosplayer. Raise your hand if you cosplay. All right. So I'll start with you, Skip, if you don't mind. How did you get into it, and what has your experience been like?
I got to the cosplay. It was by an associate, by Staticus. He introduced me to the convention scenes, and seeing people dress up in like my favorite characters growing up as a kid. Just seeing how people just being themselves, meeting other nerds in the community. I thought that was an awesome feeling. And, seeing people dress up, I didn't see too many people that looked like me dressing up. And of course, I did like see one or two scattered about. And then once I saw people going up to them saying I like their cosplays and everything, then after they get out their face, they come back and say, well, we do know their character's not Black. And that kind of struck me as odd to say, because, you just stood in that person and say you like the cosplay. But then you left and say, that character is not Black. And then from then on, I just kept seeing and hearing a lot of stuff and liked it. So I took it upon myself to say, you know what? I'm going to start cosplaying, and I'm going to start doing something inside my city of Birmingham, Alabama, to show that you can be Black and you can cosplay and you can be a nerd. And it's cool.
Yeah. Anybody else want to add to? Tony? Mark?
Okay, I'll go ahead and say something. So I cosplayed for the first time this year, MomoCon 2025, and then this past weekend at Ranger Stop and Pop. First thing I got to say is I never really. I have a newfound appreciation for what cosplayers have to go through after just kind of doing it. When you get the attention or the unwanted attention, just walking. Like, even if you are in an AC environment, just walking in hot cosplay is in Georgia is really sticky. So I have a newfound appreciation for cosplayers. Since I've done cosplay photography for so long, and now that I get to experience it for myself, I feel great. But I've seen like what cosplayers have gone through, like with the name calling and the this character isn't Black, and just so much more. Cosplay not being consent. I just have a newfound understanding and appreciation of what it is that cosplayers really have to go through.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a lot stickier, a lot hotter, and a lot more. What am I trying to say? You have to be a lot more intentional and schedule things out, figure out what you're gonna do.
Yeah.
Brute only lasts so long. You you start smelling like corn chips and old cheese, and like, hey, day 2 in this costume, which you know what encourages people to have more costumes, so you can switch it up day by day and not be in that same Iron Man outfit 4 days,
Right.
And people still don't bathe, so that don't help.
Yeah, that's a whole nother thing. We're not going to talk about that tonight because that'll derail this conversation really quickly. But you are not wrong. I'll tell you that.
My experience with cosplay is when I first started going to Dragon Con in 2000, there wasn't a lot of us, much less a lot of us cosplaying.
Mhm.
But over the years, I've seen the numbers kind of grow. Now, I've always had the desire to cosplay and didn't have the funds to cosplay. And then I came across, a few YouTube channels that talked about cosplaying on a budget. Actually, when we first started taking my daughter, she's 16 now, we started taking her to Conjuration, which is a really small convention in Atlanta. It used to be a Harry Potter convention, but because of trademark stuff, they had to change it to Conjuration. And she was the one that convinced me to cosplay because she really wanted to. So I went, the first time I went as a Hogwarts professor because, I had a tie, I had a wand, I had stuff I could put together for it. And it was fun. It was interesting. But for me, like one of the things I used to do was take pictures. I have thousands of pictures of Black people cosplaying. And, I don't do it as much as I used to because I feel like I've seen them all now.
Yeah.
But having my daughter do it and watching her participate in the photo shoots and getting excited about matching up costumes and putting costumes together, that's exciting for me. I still have some ideas on the back burner that I want to do. My wife is a very crafty person. She has a business where she makes things, and I'm going to have her help me make some stuff for upcoming conventions if I can get to it. But I've always admired people who cosplay because I know that it takes a lot to get the costumes together. It takes a lot to get dressed. You have to, like you said, it looks like, even dealing with my daughter, she doesn't complain about getting hot, but she does get excited about it. And, having done it, I dressed up as a Jedi once the school I work at, I dressed up as a Jedi and took my lightsaber to school, and the kids they were all kind of excited about it. I had my little R2 unit rolling around, so that was kind of fun. I just haven't done it big at a convention yet. So,
that's actually another question I wanted to talk about. If you have kids or younger people that you mentor, et cetera, what is it like, or what has been your challenges, experience, happiness, et cetera, trying to bring up the next generation of young Black nerds? Like you mentioned, Anthony, the discussion with you, like the events and the experience you had with your daughter, which me, I love because being Gen X blurred, my dad was like, stop watching them cartoons, grow up, get a job. So I love, families that have these generations of, I'd say, the imagination, the creativity, and all that kind of stuff, and celebrating it versus trying to hide it. So for anybody else want to jump in on the, next generation discussion?
Well, for me, as a shop owner, like I said, I've been doing this for like 30 years now. All right. So, a lot of the guys and stuff that were teenagers in my store are now, grown men, and they're bringing their kids and stuff to the shop and taking them to the different conventions and stuff around town, and they're always like, hey, this is Mr. Tony. He's the one that kept me off the streets and got me into this stuff and let me know that it was okay to do it. And, I've got, daughters, and the daughters didn't really want to express their nerdom when they were kids, because it still wasn't the cool thing to do. But like I said, I'm a little older than the rest of these kids. I got grandkids now. And the last time I actually worked MomoCon, I had two of my grandsons working with me, and they were awesome. They knew all the anime shows. They could talk sci-fi. They watched me do my spiel, and I just sat back, and they just took over the booth. I didn't have to do nothing but sit back and supervise.
Nice.
But
Wow.
just looking at like some of the kids that basically grew up in my store, and now they're like officers in the military. They're engineers. They're working customs. Which is actually kind of weird because one of them and stuff, when you do customs, the FBI does a background check on you. You be able to do customs. All right, so they like asked him who his friends were, and the FBI realized that they had all met at my shop. So then the FBI came and interviewed me, to make sure that I wasn't running some kind of, thing going on and stuff, because I connected all of these kids together. And so I had to get interviewed, for him to go ahead and get his job in customs. So for me and stuff, it's just great. 'Cause like I said, when I was doing Fantasy Fair, I could basically count the number of Black people on these fingers. And most of us and stuff knew each other, and like half of the people actually worked on staff. So now when I go to conventions and I see these massive photo shoots, with like hundreds of Black people, in costume, I'm amazed.
Right.
Because like I said, when I, first started doing it, it's like I dressed up in costume once, and that was when the Blade costume came out, and it was kind of easy for me to do.
Yeah.
Because as a store owner, I was able to actually order the replica blades. All right. So the rest of my costume was just going down to the Army surplus store and getting the vest and getting the boots and getting the pants. And it was an easy cosplay. But that's when I got my, like Mark was saying, my respect for cosplayers. Because I couldn't take 5 steps without someone stopping me wanting to take my picture.
Right.
And usually when I'm doing a con, I've been like, I'm moderating panels, and I need to get from A to B quickly. And when you cosplay, you can't get from A to B quickly. No. So I have cosplayed once, and that is it. I'm usually too busy doing other activities.
So not because you don't want to do it, but because you know that if you come dressed up, it's a 2-minute walk turns into 15 minutes because people want to stop, take a picture, etc. Which isn't a bad thing, but if you got somewhere to go, you got to get there. So,
right.
The last comment that was just up there said there's a lot of real world things that come from seeing fiction less as entertainment and more of a story, which I would agree with. I want to, this is not on my list of questions, but I'm going to add it now. What do you think the TV show Stranger Things did for the blurred society? Showing a period piece, because it is set in like the 80s.
Yep.
Yes, Tony, go ahead.
Okay, first of all, I have a problem with something that I lived through being a period piece. Okay. Right. The whole idea of like riding your bike with your buddies and going to the mall and hanging out at the arcade, I lived that. Okay, that is not a period piece. Okay. But yeah, it reminded me, and that's about the same time I learned how to play Dungeons and Dragons and all that stuff. But it just feels really weird to me that something that I lived through is already a period piece.
Listen, Unbalanced Mind, when he said he had grandkids that helped him work the booth or work the Black don't crack. Y'all know this. It's some really good skincare routine up top. I'm just saying.
Oh, and I've been doing this high top fade since it originally came out.
I love you got an original high top fade.
Right.
So just to touch on the first, well, I guess the first part of the question about the kids. So I have 3 boys, and they see a lot of it from me. They get a lot of it. Like my kids are gamers. My 3-year-old just they let him play Fortnite one day, and he's been every day I pick him up. Daddy, can I play the game? Can I? can I play the game with my brothers? That's all he does now. But it's fun seeing them, because I remember when I was when I was that age growing up, and I wish I had just a little bit more of the hey, you can do that. I see now, like my kids, with how way things are now when it comes in the gaming side, where you get streamers, you got kids. My kids were watching the other kids stream, have been watching other kids stream for like years. Like it's a can't think of the name of them, but it's a kids and their parents. They stream video games. My kids been watching them do it. Like seeing or having a dad of appreciate that unbalanced minds. Having someone, I guess they see me do it, like they see me stream, they see me podcast, and all that. I haven't gotten them into anime. I'm a little disappointed in myself in that.
Keep working on
it. They love like the Spider-Man, Power Rangers, stuff, things like that. Marvel comics. I remember when Black Panther was the movie came out, and at the time my oldest, I forgot how old he was, but when I tell you he was Black Panther for like 4 Halloween straight because of that movie. We watched it when it came to Netflix. We watched it every day. We picked him up from school. He going home. He go in his room. He turn on Netflix and watch Black Panther. He will sit there and watch it. And I'm glad my kids do have stuff like that, because when I was growing up, I'm 40 years old. When I was growing up, I had, it was. I was the one I was the oldest kid, still watching cartoons, still watching stuff like that, watching anime, things of that nature. What's going on?
Man.
So my growing up, still watching anime and stuff like that. I didn't have a lot of people to talk about. I had a few friends, but I didn't have a whole lot to talk about. So I'm glad nowadays, like my kids have, it's kind of the cool thing now to be a gamer, to be in the anime and and I'm glad they have that now. I'm not one of those grumpy people that, well, you guys can't have it because we didn't get to have it or get to express. Listen, I believe it's for everybody. I'm glad they're able to express their interest, and it's like I'm really glad to see it's like that. And shout out to my guys and this people that's coming through in the chat, Blerd Syndicate, things of that nature. Those people over there as well, man. But I'm glad it's more accessible and it's easy for people to express, to be interested in those things and not be embarrassed or not have to hide or not have to beat around or sneak around or do it or whatever the case may be. But I'm glad my kids can actually, they get to see that from me and they get that encouragement from me. So if my kids want to go and be, game developers or whatever the case may be, doctors, whatever, they're gonna always have that, have me being there in their corner, supporting them. So, and I'm glad they get to see that from me. And I'm glad they get to see like, hey, my dad does that. Like I also collect like Transformers and stuff. I'm glad my kids have that example as myself, and I'm able to set that for them.
You made a really profound statement just saying, my dad does that. If you think about how young kids, male and female, and everything in between, they grow up watching their parents as role models, for good, for better, for worse, for good or bad. But I think we, like right here, one thing that we tend to forget is that fiction isn't completely fictional. Every story has some sort of realism to it, and what is science fiction in the 80s and 90s becomes your iPhone in the 2000s. Like I always think about Total Recall. And then one moment in the original Arnold Schwarzenegger movie where they're making a video call, like Ironside to the lady whose name is Sharon Stone. And now we FaceTime every day. We've been doing it. We're doing it for years at this point. So, it's not always completely fiction. And another thing that I wanted to discuss, or still around like the next generation thing, is you mentioned, we didn't have that in my day, et cetera. I hear that from some people, the gatekeeping of it all. You're not a real gamer because you only play Candy Crush or not me, but what I'm saying? Like, I hear that from people. I hear folks saying that, like, I remember when Animal Crossing wasn't gaming, but now it's got like a massive following.
It does. I tell people one of my biggest things is I've said it before. You're a gamer if you're playing anything, whether it be a mobile game, whether it be, playing old school games, you're a gamer. I don't care what anyone says, man. Whether you just play Madden, whether you play everything under the sun, you're a gamer.
Mhm.
And you know what I'm saying? Because whether it be something big or something small, that's your enjoyment, that's your fun, and it's other people that play that. Even if you play Pokemon Go, it's still thousands of people that play that. Somebody can relate to you, and you can have that experience and talk about your experience with somebody else. So no matter what type of game you're playing, you're a gamer. I think you're under that umbrella. So
right. Anthony, I saw you come off mute. Do something you want to add?
Well, I just wanted to, we kind of moved on, but I wanted to talk about your question about Stranger Things,
Yes.
which I think is sort of kind of related to what we're talking about, which is as kids, like I can say I related to Stranger Things because I related to Lucas. Lucas was very much like me, minus the Dungeons and Dragons. Like, honestly, I was a band geek. So we didn't play Dungeons and Dragons, but we do things like watch. I go with my friends, we watch musicals. Like you're 14, 15, 16-year-old, especially the only kind of black kid around all these other white kids, having Rocky Horror Picture Show parties, watching, Monty Python in the Search for the Holy Grail. Those were sort of like, I don't want to say the gateway for me, but it was sort of like part of me becoming part of a community. Outside of being in band, but learning about those things and participating in those things. And seeing that sort of on Stranger Things with Lucas, how he's participating with his friends with the Dungeons and Dragons and having all their adventures. I think it sort of normalizes what we did as kids. And now we can look back on it as adults and be like, that was kind of cool that I used to every once in a while go with all my friends and watch the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Right.
At the time, people would look at you kind of strange and be like, what are you doing? Like, why are you not outside playing football or playing basketball with your cousins? No, I'm going to go watch Les Miserables with my friends or listen to, the Highlander soundtrack and become a fan of Queen. But I can also like, NWA and Ice Cube and all those guys. But I can also, a real quick story. I went on a cruise last year, and one of the trivia things I went to was for musicals. And I won. I got all 20 out of 20 questions right.
Nice.
And people looked at me kind of strange. Like, who doesn't know that Michael Crawford played the Phantom of the Opera on Broadway? Who doesn't know that? But like, they looked at me weird because I'm a straight black male, getting all 20 of the musical questions right. Well, I like musicals. And I think that also goes to the gatekeeping thing, which we always not only try to gatekeep people out of stuff that we're interested in, we're also trying to gatekeep people into the things that we think they should like.
I want to talk about that real quick. Unbalanced Minds, you say now you feel bad that you never saw Stranger Things. Go see it. I mean, it's still on Netflix. And I would say the first 2 seasons are absolutely worth it. After that, you can do what you want. But you can understand everything you need to understand about Stranger Things in the first 2 seasons. And our producer is having some technical difficulties. It won't affect us, but I'll be trying to read the comments until their laptop comes back up and they can put them back on screen. Now, you mentioned the gatekeeping. I absolutely want to talk about that because, to your point, we got it back. Thank you. So we have a question. Put the question back up. Is it comfortable now being a blurred out society, or if there's still more to work on as far as getting those to recognize us as well as who we are and what we love to do? I would say, so just to pose the question, is there more work to be done, or have we quote unquote arrived when we talk about being in nerdy spaces and being validated as blurs, or people who love like nerd culture?
I think we've still got some work to do because we're accepted within our own space. But like, I still think about older family members of mine, or even not necessarily older. Well, 2 sets of older family members, older, like, grandparents' age, and then older cousins that are only like 10 years older. And I still get comments like, you still going to that Dragon Con thing downtown?
Mhm.
And I just shake my head and I walk away. And I'm like, yes, I'm still going to Dragon Con downtown. I will see y'all when I get back.
You
So
know,
yes, we still have some work to do, but we've made a lot of progress because I remember being a kid in Atlanta and being a black kid in Atlanta, living on the black side of town, there wasn't a lot of outwardly nerdiness that I discovered. I didn't truly find my tribe of nerdiness until after I got out of college.
mhm.
And that's something that I don't know why we can't, like Tony made the comment earlier about, I forget if it was his daughters or grandkids, somebody that he mentioned when they were a lot younger, they didn't want to have their nerdiness be outward for everybody to see. And I've never understood why we are that way, because I would bet there are a lot more of us that are into some things and we could find our tribe if we were just willing to be outward with whatever the thing is that we love. In our case, it's nerdy shit.
Yeah.
So you in my wheelhouse now. Pull out my DEI subject matter expert on you. So oppression leads to repression. And what I mean by that is when you have so many external sources saying, don't be this, don't be that, that's not for you, you don't belong here. You can only hear it so much until you start to internalize it, sometimes out of safety, not necessarily physical safety, but psychological safety. Like, I don't want to talk about that because I don't want to get ridiculed and people have me feeling bad about myself. And even though we say, the biggest lie that's ever been told is sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. Words hurt more. Words hurt more than sticks and stones because your mind remembers the words way after any physical scars are gone.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so that desire to protect sometimes leads us to tell our friends, our cousins, "Ooh, why you like that?" Not necessarily because we don't like it too, but because there is this self-repression at that point. Don't do that because you might get hurt by other people if you go out there and do that. The same reason older women, I'm speaking on women for a second, older women will tell younger women, you shouldn't do this and you shouldn't do that. And you got to stay in your lane because that's what was safe for them. And so you have a lot of people, especially around nerdy things that can get you into a sea of non-blackness. And folks like, hey, don't go out there because, it's not safe out there. Why are you being quote unquote weird? Weird just means you're being yourself. Everybody's weird. Some of us, I think, have learned to, lean into it, accept it, and by extension, be more accepting of other people's weirdness. And I don't think everybody's there yet. A whole lot of people are still scared. And when I say that, the scared ones are the ones that will tell you all, y'all shouldn't be doing that. That's not. It amazes me to hear people say Black folks are not a monolith, and then turn right around and say you're not Black because you're doing X, Y, Z.
Thanks.
Right.
I got something I want to add to this conversation about the blurry spaces. Like Tony said, he had a bunch of kids grow up in his shop. I was one of those kids. My dad used to take me to his shop back in middle school and high school. I used to go there to play Yu-Gi-Oh tournaments, Magic tournaments, whatever, and then just go there on my own. Dragon Con, I forgot who said it, but Dragon Con, yeah. Prior to Black Geeks of Dragon Con being a thing, you would go to Dragon Con and literally not find people who look like us, even if they were in cosplay. You had to look and look and look and turn over every rock and then be in the basement of the Marriott, and then you finally see somebody who looked like you in cosplay. I say all that to say this. I do think we do need to protect blurred spaces a lot more. I think we need that we have come really, really far, but we still have so much more to go. Even at MomoCon, me and Skip, we were doing a Black Geeks photo shoot and had a situation where we had to unfortunately remove someone from the photo shoot because our safety for the rest of the community, like people were complaining that they didn't feel comfortable because of what was going on. So we had to remove somebody. Our spaces are constantly infiltrated and kind of destroyed within Joy. Just for you, I watched Sinners, and the message
No
in that
spoilers
movie.
because Tony still hasn't seen it yet.
So. No spoiling. But just the message that the movie was trying to convey, and then what I went through at MomoCon and everything I did at RSP this weekend, which is something totally different. I realized like how much more important Black nerd spaces are, how much more they're needed. Because like we still have so much more to go. Like there, even like from my own people, like I forgot who said it, but yet I constantly, I'm almost 4 years old, and I constantly still get calls from inside the house saying, "Why are you doing all this? Why are you doing all that?" And I'm, I have to go look at myself, like, look at what I've done, look at the channel I've built, look at the people I've networked and created. Hell, I reprieved so much childhood trauma this past weekend by just interviewing Power Rangers. Like, I feel like I had a whole therapy session for the last 2 days just by interviewing people, asking them what Power Rangers meant to them, and just seeing everybody in that environment and how like just the nerdy stuff that they grew up watching meant to them. That's something special that we got to protect. Like, I'm a huge nerd. I grew up being nerdy. I found myself within nerdom. And I think that that's something that we just got to, like, not only that we finally have accepted nerd within the Black community, but now that it's accepted, we need to protect it and just keep nurturing it and growing so the next generation can continue to grow up and not have to go through the things that we did.
Hokage, I saw you first, then Anthony, then Skip.
And I completely agree with everyone is saying. Is about as far as nerd spaces or blurred spaces, we've grown so much and it's gotten a lot better, but there's still so much growing that needs to be done as well, because we're still accepted in some spaces, but not accepted all the way, or certain spaces that it's still a few of us in. Like I'm big on I'm big Doctor Who fan. I love Doctor Who. I am 40 years old and I still play Pokemon games. That's my tried and true. That's one of my favorite games of all time, Pokemon. Like I get into the battling and everything. And it's certain, you don't see a lot of places. Let's go. I love it. Love it. You don't see a lot of that, from people that look like me. I grew up in I'm from Birmingham as well. Well, I'm from Bessemer. I'm from Bessemer, big Bessemer, right outside of Birmingham. And I grew up in the hood, rural area, whatever the case may be. And you don't see a lot of that. Yeah. See, you don't see a lot of that come from that. And when people say, like I say, I'm from Bessemer, I pronounce the name correctly with all the S's. Most people say Belma. So when I say it, people look at me like, "You from Bessemer?" Yes, I'm from Bessemer.
Saying you from Atlanta.
You know what I'm saying? So you don't see, what I'm saying? You don't see a lot of people like me from the area I came from that love the things I love. I've been watching anime since shouldn't have been watching it. I tell everybody I should not have been watching this, but the first anime I ever remember seeing was Ninja Scroll. And I was like 5 or 6 years old. My mom went to sleep. I got to control the TV. It's like late at night. I see a cartoon. Ooh, this is a cartoon.
Yeah. That was wrong. I should not have been watching. Hold that thought. I want to talk about anime in a moment, but I want to before we get off the subject, Anthony and Skip, y'all have something to add.
Well, I just wanted to talk about, I think part of it does have to do with our culture. I had an epiphany about 10 years ago. I was at, having family dinner. And at the time, I was like I said, I used to write video game reviews. I was a hardcore gamer, And my ex-brother-in-law made a comment like, I don't understand how you can just sit around and play video games for 12 hours a day. And I kind of looked at him and I was like, but dude, you just spent 12 hours a day watching NFL football. Like, how is that different? And I think one of the things I always talk about with people is, unfortunately, a lot of them don't understand that they are nerds themselves. Right. Like, how many people are into fantasy football? And they did statistics like it's nothing. Like, I can talk about weapons in Call of Duty, Modern Warfare all the time, just as much as they can talk about the football player. Now, I play fantasy football too. I got burned by Peyton Manning a few times, so I left it alone. But, everyone has their thing. And I think people are more and more realizing, or maybe not openly understanding, that everyone kind of has their thing that they're into, whether it be teas and coffees, or whether it be, perfumes, or how they dress and clothing, electronics. Everybody has something.
Right. Something
And
that they obsess about
it's
or
Yep.
right,
further into than their friends. Yeah.
right.
And,
That's all I say on that.
I for as far as I'm concerned, if you collect baseball cards and I collect Pokemon cards, at least I can battle mine. You're not battling your baseball cards. So
Mm.
I got added
Yo,
benefits with
what
my
if
collection.
what
I'm just
what
saying.
if what if we started
there are
doing?
people that do that with their baseball cards. They
I
will
was about to say,
battle.
what if we start doing that?
That might be cool.
What if
That
we
might be the
start
move.
like
That
in
$1 million
addition to playing?
idea. Hey, $1 million idea. Work on that. Put it out. Skip, I didn't want to forget about you.
Man, I'd like to pick it back up because, like, I know Mark telling why he got into this community is like same as me. I tell this story faithfully. When I was growing up and everything, I was bullied and picked on. It was so bad to a point I had my head dunked in the toilet for being a nerd because some of the stuff that I like. And from then on, that's why I made my nonprofit organization, Blerd Over Incorporated. But I think we have came a long way. Because now look at it, we having spaces like this, we having interviews, talking to black males that's been in nerd space. We have our own conventions that's happening. We got black people that's over their own conventions. We got DreamCon, we got Blerdcon, we got the AtlanticCon, My Expo. You got people like us doing these things now, and it's because like we don't care no more, and we are proud to be who we are.
Facts.
I see it similar to the proliferation of HBCUs in the late 1800s. Oh, I can't go to your school. I will make my own.
Exactly.
So, y'all don't want us at your little conventions. All right, we'll do our own conventions. And guess what? When we show up at your conventions, it's lit. Everybody want to be what we are.
You know what? I'm kind of glad you brought up at HBCU because it's something I want to talk about what happened at DreamCon.
Go ahead.
Because I'm a member of a D9 organization, 5 Fraternity Incorporated. And I'm pretty sure you saw this video what I'm going to talk about. Where you had this guy, and he was recording this fraternity. I don't want to name him, but they could have been some secret. But
Right.
And you got people like who's D9 like me and you who love this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
We've been blurs and everything. I can't help that I'm a part. I went to HBCU and I became of a Divine Nine organization. And guess what? At the end of the day, I'm still gonna be a fan of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Mm-hmm. And if I go like at DragonCon last year, I had my Sigma brothers. We did our chants, we did our calls, we stealthed, and we had a good time. And we did not take away from nothing. And we just want to show representation. Like you have people, black people from all aspects of life that are deep rooted nerds.
Thanks.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, pertaining to what you're discussing, they were asked to come together. It wasn't like a bunch of D9 folks said, hey, let's go make our own thing over here and be loud and push everybody out. First of all, that space was way bigger than that anyway. But there was specifically a request that if you are D9, come to this area for some pictures, et cetera, et cetera. And then, of course, you get more than a couple of fraternity brothers together. They're going to set out a little, jump around, blah, blah, blah. So it is what it is. But that's exactly what I meant about, black people are not a monolith and then turn around and say D9 can't be here because, sometimes people have not let go of their childhood trauma, and maybe some person that ended up pledging something was a bully to them when they were younger, and now you say you can't be my bully and also be in my nerd space. That's a personal thing that you need to handle, but you cannot ban everyone in an organization because some dude at Jackson State, took your girl back in 1995. You have to get over that, Right. I'm just
go ahead, Mark.
Oh, I was gonna say, the whole reason why I wanted to talk about the D9 issues at DragonCon is because a couple of years ago I interviewed CC the Geek, and she explained to me that like fraternities and sororities create geeks. They take people who like didn't feel like they belong and send them to the brother sisterhood, and everybody turns out like more geeky and extremely black. So when I saw like them doing step shows at Blerdkon, I was like, that's the stuff I wanted to see, like just black nerds and geeks having fun, not only celebrating their nerdiness, but celebrating their blackness. So when I saw people online talking poorly about the D9s and the steppers and all that stuff, I was confused because I'm like, I thought DreamCon was supposed to be a space where black nerds can come together and talk about Pokemon and do some stuff like that. Like that to me is blurred culture in a nutshell. Like if they all was in cosplay stepping, it would have been a viral sensational moment versus a problem, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Okay.
again, I feel like there's a little bit of some misunderstanding, but the particular video that I think Skip and I saw, I'm gonna call that hateration. Like, and look, if you got rejected, that ain't my problem. But you can't be mad later. Anthony, yes, please.
I just want to say real quick, I didn't really follow the DreamCon thing, but when I initially read about it, it made me think of Revenge of the Nerds. Because I think a lot of us, myself included, we have a lot of, I don't want to say trauma. I don't want to use that word, but yes, we've experienced a lot of trauma and micro traumas when it comes to the football players and Greeks making fun of us or bullying us. And so as we get older and now, some of us feel like we have our own space, we don't want to see those people come into our space because that brings up, it's a form of PTSD when you see the people that used to make fun of you or do things to you or treat you badly, like I say, using Revenge of the Nerds is sort of like an analogy. That's very troubling for a lot of us, even as adults. I enjoyed my time at UGA. I don't really remember being bullied about the stuff that I like, but I do remember people making a lot of comments. There was a lot of microaggressions about me being into Jeopardy or, me being into science fiction and fantasy or me reading books for fun. There were some D9 people that would make little side comments about it. But then there were some who were like really cool about it. It was like, oh yeah, that's awesome. Why don't you come hang out with us? I'm like, yeah, no, that's not quite the life for me. But, I think a lot of us have, and I'm not saying it's any of us here, but a lot of us have taken that into our adulthood, all those things that we've experienced. And it brings up a lot of raw emotions for a lot of us because a lot of us were treated poorly by, cheerleaders and football players and, the, what was the word that we called them? Jocks. And so that is sad that we've associated Greekdom with that culture, that it has become sort of this thing that we have this visceral reaction to.
Yeah.
Sort of what happened at DreamCon.
And that brings me to another question that was in our list. So this ain't my question. I'm just saying this came with the list. Do you think that Black men in general need therapy, and why is the answer overwhelmingly yes?
A prime example, I could tell because this happened in Atlanta. I think it happened on Father's Day. This brother was on top of the highway and he jumped off. And
that's what happened?
Yeah, that's what happened. Yeah.
Oh, snap. Okay.
Yeah. And what is to say if that brother would have had somebody to reach out to him, just to talk to him the night before or 2 days before, or especially somebody could have just stopped their car on the highway and just talked them down. And we grew up in for us, I don't know for some, but for me, we grew up in a household where men are supposed to cry. Black men are supposed to cry. That shows a sign of weakness. And what happens at the house stays at the house. So nothing leaves us at this house. So that alone is kind of making you, defeated in yourself because you can't talk about the stuff you want to talk about because it makes you show, a sign of weakness. And Black men supposed to be strong because, we supposed to do so much. We supposed to be these providers. We supposed to be the caretakers and everything like this. But we need it. We need a space like this to talk about it. We need a space like this to find other Black men to talk about nerdy stuff, to talk about sports, to talk about music, to talk about gaming. Because we don't. It kind of feels like, why am I doing this? Now I got to change myself to put on the whole costume so I can fit with the real world. Right.
And what kills me is the real world doesn't want to be out there either. And that's something that I think they don't talk about or they need to reckon with. People that put down other folks' hobbies. Why are you so miserable that you gotta yuck somebody else's yum? Anybody even talking to you? Like you don't have to like it. I'm just saying I do. Why do you have to hate me or belittle me because I like something that you don't understand? And I do think when you talk about the men, the Black man mystique, You got to be provider, you got to be strong, you got to never cry. All these things that I know you all heard growing up, because I heard it as a woman to my male friends. And then also going back to something, I think it was one of the comments. I said it earlier, like, stop watching them cartoons and grow up. The idea that games, any sort of game, except for football, because football was way out of the hood. Basketball was way out of the hood. They were accepted as things that you could do and be obsessive about because it made money. Our parents didn't understand how you might make money playing video games. Or think about, the early streamers. I don't think any of us were encouraged to even attempt that, because that's not a quote unquote real job. Now it's people making hundreds of thousands of dollars playing games and letting people watch, but the idea that all of this is child's play, because especially the boomer generation and going back further back, the silent generation, games were for children. And you had to at some point stop and grow up, go to the factory, go to war, whatever it might have been. But at some point you left your childhood behind. And I think Gen X early, 1968, I believe, begins Gen X. So anywhere in that general area. 65. Okay. Yes, Furious?
I just want to throw one quick thing out there. There's also an exceptionally large religious component.
Yes.
When I was a child, I understood as a child, and when I became an adult, I forget the exact rest
put
of
away those childish things. Yeah.
There you go. So for those of us who grew up in exceptionally religious areas, that was a part of it as well.
Mm-hmm. That is really deep. Go ahead.
And if I can, and to pick up what this brother said too, like with me, I'm a Christian. I'm not a perfect Christian, but I'm a Christian, and it's kind of like my way to introduce people, like, because you got those Christians out there, like this brother said, this is of the devil. You're
they're saying sinners is demonic,
right?
Oh my God,
it's exactly. But we're gonna pray for them. But me, I give people a different outlook, because some people never found Christ. Some people never found God. But guess what? The way I am, I let people see God and Jesus through me by what I do. And they say, "Skip, you're a Christian?" It's like, yeah. Well, why you not out here ridiculing us? I can't judge you for what you do. I mean, that's Jesus didn't do it. God didn't do it. So I'm not perfect in them. They made me. So why am I going to do it to you? Live your life how you supposed to live it. That's a true Christian. Live your life how you want to live it. Because at the end of the day, we are all going to have to meet that final judgment and account for what we did. I can't account for what the Husky Hokage did. I can't account for that. I got to account for me.
Facts. And just to piggyback on what he's saying as well, grew up in a Christian household. I am still a Christian. I go to church. Maybe not on a regular, but I go to church as often as I can. Praise the Lord, pray every day, all that. However, I still, once again, love my anime. I've been told, like you said, that's demonic. That's this. You shouldn't be doing that. You're grown. You only be playing video games. I tell people all the time, man, it's first off, do what you feel that you need to do to make yourself happy or whatever the case may be. I'm not out here to judge you. I'm not out here to tell you what you can and can't do. As long as you ain't out here breaking the law, you're not hurting nobody. It's you do what you need to do to be happy. And I tell the main thing about Jesus, what a lot of people misconceive or forget, or you want to judge and put all this stuff on them. Jesus is about love. Regardless of whatever's going on, it's about loving each other. As long as I treat you with respect and show kindness and love you and treat you like you're supposed to be treated, that's all you should care about. You shouldn't be worried about me playing these video games or me watching anime or whatever the case may be. Like that has nothing to do with it. I mean, nothing to do with it. Let people do what they want. And like Joy said, go ahead.
And like another thing, and it's a hobby where we do it. And they forget, correct. Jesus had a hobby. He was a carpenter. He built things.
Yes.
That was his hobby. So you gonna say Jesus was like worshiping the furniture? No, that's his hobby.
Anthony.
I want to add something to this. I'll spoil it. I put the therapy question on the list because of I feel like it's something we need to talk about. For those of us who were at MomoCon, we got the chance to interview Daryl McDaniels, DMC of Run DMC, and he talked about men's health and just mental health in so much detail to the point where I was like, you know what? I know I'm planning this specific episode coming up, talking about men's health and mental health, especially since June is also Men's Health Awareness Month. I wanted to put this topic on the table. And for me, the reason why I feel like it's an overwhelming yes that Black men in America need therapy is because how do you be a Black man in America? Every single last one of us has grown up hearing so many different phrases like man up. When I hear that phrase alone, that just triggers something within me. I'm like, damn, I've heard that so many times. And I kind of like just act more aware when I hear it. Like, I think, matter of fact, I have a nephew. He's 3 years old, and my brother-in-law, my nephew fell, skinned his knee, and my brother-in-law went to go pick him up. Was like, "Oh, man up," and it triggered something in me. And I got in on my brother-in-law. I was like, "Nah, he's 3 years old. You don't need to be telling the 3-year-old to man up. Let him be a child. Let him cry and figure out how to deal with these emotions because he doesn't know how to convey them. So just let him figure it out and let him grow up into it. Don't force him to be." Or don't force him to go through the same trauma you went through because that's all you know. Going back to the Christianity thing, again, I like Power Rangers, Pokemon, Animorphs, Goosebumps. Christian, I'm not saying this to mock anyone's religion or anything, but growing up in a Christian household took me out of Christianity because growing up in a household full of people who preach to you the Bible left and right for everything, but then turn around and also use it as to show how hypocritical they can be, to judge you, to force you to be something that you're not. The put fear in you. I didn't like that aspect of how Black people accept to Christianity, and there's a whole other component behind that, but that's not what the point of the story is. So many things that I loved and enjoyed in life, I fell out of because I was bullied out of it, or I was told that I would go to hell if I liked Power Rangers and stuff like that, which never made sense to me because I'm like, they fight evil. So did Jesus. Why the two kind of are parallel to me, not one is of the devil and the other is this way that you're supposed to live your life. That never made sense to me.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Anthony.
Well, that's it. The religion topic is interesting conversation to have, but I wanted to go back to the mental health.
Okay.
I'm currently working on my degree, my master's in clinical mental health counseling, and my area of advocacy is Black men and mental health. And there are two areas that I think they're really very general and kind of broad. One of them being something that Mark kind of touched on is that Black men are not known for being in touch with their emotions, not being able to express them, live in them, being able to manage our emotions. I worked with a male group in my high school that I was working at, and we worked with them for about 5 or 6 sessions. It was about 6 or 7 boys who were having various issues with Black boys, with their moms or just issues in school. And I will tell you, almost all of their teachers came back to us and said they noticed a change in them. And the main thing we talked about is managing your emotions. Like, it's okay to feel the way that you feel sometimes. A lot of us are told that we can't feel that way about the things, for example, that we're passionate about. But that's wrong. That's not something you're supposed to do. And the other thing that I know everybody deals with it, but Black men in particular, are microaggressions and microtraumas. If you experience enough microtraumas, the woman clutching her purse when she walks by you, or how the waiters ignore you at restaurants but serve all the other people before they get to you, being overlooked in certain areas. If you experience enough of those microtraumas, you're going to have PTSD. And a lot of us are walking around with PTSD, and that's causing us all kinds of dysfunction. And we need to get Black men in a space where we can talk about our feelings and our emotions and confront these micro traumas and microaggressions that we're experiencing and learn how to manage our feelings when it comes to that. Because we just can't lash out at people and be that angry Black man or that angry Black woman that people always try to characterize us as. But that's, so yes, we do need to have therapy because we're not known to be able to speak about our emotions or deal with them or even acknowledge that we even have. That was one of the things we found with those boys. 3 of them, they would never really acknowledge that they had feelings or emotions. They was like, yeah, whatever. I feel that class, yeah, whatever. No, you were really hurt by feeling that class. You need to confront that. You need to talk about that because you can't yell at the teacher for failing you because you don't know how to deal with failing the class. And we grow up, we become adults, and we lash out at people when things happen to us because we don't know how to manage our emotions.
Facts, big facts.
And the comments you made around PTSD, a lot of people, and you see this in abuse narratives as well. I don't see no bruises on you, right? I don't see no scars. And if I don't see any scars or any physical evidence, you're not really hurt. You're not really abused. You're not really suffering. And so a lot of people think PTSD is reserved for wartime military vets. Otherwise, you just talking, that's that new wave, you mumble jumble, et cetera, et cetera. But as you know, a big portion of it can be characterized by hypervigilance, right? And hypervigilance leads to you never lowering your heart rate, always being ready for something. And it doesn't necessarily have to be ready for a bullet come whizzing by. Maybe it's ready to be ridiculed, ready to always having to worry about who, like somebody in the house, reading books under the covers because you don't want them to catch you reading a comic book because they might do something. And it might not even necessarily be physical, just the emotional damage that they impart to you. And so growing up like that and then moving into spaces, like I remember Fury said he didn't find his tribe until after he graduated from college. So that's 22 plus years of worrying about who is going to catch me doing this and have a problem with it. That's a whole different type of hypervigilance that I think a lot of y'all go through. Correct me if I'm speaking out of turn, but I think that is a small part of what also leads to that. Remember I mentioned earlier, the oppression leading to repression. I'm not going to talk about it. I'm going to discourage other people from talking about it. I'm going to act like I don't even like it. This is going to be a weird analogy, but rock with me for a second. If you think about how many extreme homophobes turn out to be gay, take that same mentality. A lot of folks hate on nerd stuff because they're afraid to admit that they like it or they find it interesting or they don't want people to ridicule them. So they decide to be the bully so they won't get bullied. So
Big
I think
facts.
there's some of that in there too.
Yeah, the thing about PTSD is you carry it everywhere you go.
Everywhere you
go. Even if you remove yourself from the situation, you're still going to feel that stress and anxiety. That's why bullying, even as kids, all of us talked about, or some of us talked about being bullied for the things that we like. If we haven't dealt with that, we're carrying that into adulthood. And it doesn't matter if that stuff happened 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago, you're still carrying those same feelings with you. And so when something happens and you lash out, that is still a result of that micro trauma that you dealt with as a teenager.
I want to just say something since you brought up bullying, because I know there are going to be some naysayers in the comments or whoever watches this video, but there was a whole thing going on for the longest time when the zero tolerance stuff started going around. Bullying builds character, and I've always hated that phrase too. That's another thing that triggers my mental instability when I hear it. I hate those people who said that.
That was a thing.
It was never true.
Yeah.
That was what?
Who said bullying that? Builds coping mechanisms and what's the word I'm looking for? Defense mechanisms. So you learn how to defend, but again, you're still practicing defense all the time. And you never know when you're going to get struck. So that again leads to that hypervigilance. And people that think, well, I got bullied and I turned out okay. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. You're a hot mess. I have lost a couple male friends behind trying to help them understand that they were emotionally repressed or they weren't dealing with it right. And their response to me saying, you need to, maybe talk to somebody because I think this isn't healthy, is to cut me off. Right. Because they don't want to deal with it, just don't want to be bothered with it at all. And It's sad, it's a shame, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
And I think the more people like y'all on the screen can advocate for mental health, and it's almost a generational thing, but not enough, especially when in younger men in Black spaces. There's a lot of younger people that, just therapy is just something everybody does, or therapy is just the thing you do, or, I need a therapist, or I talk to my therapist, et cetera, et cetera. Everybody ain't got that. And it's still seen as a taboo in a lot of communities of color. And especially when you start layering on, I am going to say something in a broad way. It's not everyone, they're not a monolith, but a lot of first generation from the continent of Africa or African born have a real resistance to discussing or encouraging mental health. And that trickles into our society as a whole here in the United States, in the Caribbean, on the continent, et cetera. So it's just, there's layers to this thing.
Well, I mean, Joe, it's not. I would even throw out. It's not even. Well, in addition to, I look at my family. My family, obviously, like a bunch of us, has been here since slavery. I don't know where on the continent of Africa my family comes from, but for a lot of people in my family, the minute you start to say I'm depressed, again, both sides of my family are extremely religious believers. The first thing out of most people's mouth is, well, you need to pray about it, or you need to go to church, or depression, you pray it away. And that's the thing that has, as much as I love a lot of the people in my family, one of the things that drove me away from Christianity or religion in general, I won't just say Christianity, was just the idea that every single problem you have, the only solution for it is to go to church and pray about it.
Yeah.
If you bring up therapy, boy, you don't need no therapy. Just go to the church and talk to pastor. Pastor doesn't have a degree in psychology or is not a licensed therapist. No, that may work for some people. It does not work for everybody. And honestly, unless your pastor is a trained psychologist, I sometimes question if the advice that pastor is giving you is helping. And that's not to try and be negative against pastors or against religion, but it's just like, I'm an engineer. If you come to me for help writing an English paper, yeah, I know English. I took English in school. I passed it. That doesn't mean I can help you write a better English paper than an English major. So sometimes you go to the people who specialize in the thing you need help with.
Hokage.
I just want to ditto and just expound on what you just said, Furious. I 100% agree with you. And once again, as somebody who grew up in the church, grew up, Christianity, a lot of times that's one of the first things people say to you, just pray about it. Let's go to the church. I'll say that, hey, yeah, let's pray about it, but let's go find, maybe we can find you some help. Let's go looking to therapists, looking to talking to somebody that's seeking help outside of the church as well, because just like God put the pastor there, God also made those therapists for you. I tell people all the time, like, I got cancer, we don't go to church. Man, you better go to the doctor. What's wrong with you? Like, you can't just use that one thing. I'm not saying don't do it, but there's people who specialize in this for a reason. These jobs or whatever weren't just created out of thin air, whatever the case may be. They're there for a reason, and we have to be open to using those resources to help repair us or fix us or whatever you want to say, however you want to say it, man. But it's a shame that a lot of especially older Black folks are just people that stuck in that mindset of just pray about it and all of this, man. I'm not saying don't do that, but do more.
Nobody tells you to pray over a broken bone, right? They don't tell you to pray over a cavity. But when you say that you're depressed or you are, wondering if you may have autism, ADHD or something along those lines, whatever it may be, when it comes to neural processing or anything mental, God got you.
Listen.
I need help. I need help from a professional that has studied this particular type of thing.
Exactly.
And just to speak on, go ahead, Skip. Go ahead.
Go ahead. You good, bro.
I was just gonna say, just to speak on that, as a father, my middle son has ADD. and we found, like, I could tell something, and we found out this year, but I can tell like he was just, something was off. He was one of those kids that came up through COVID where, you know, that basically was out of school for a while. I remember when I was working from home, he was at home with me, you know, so there's a lot of
Like
developmental. Yeah, so it was a lot of developmental that he missed, being social and things of that nature. But I'm not one of those parents that wasn't like, let's not get him tested, or let's not get him. No, I want my kids to grow up to be like productive men, good men. Like, I raised them like that, or do my best to raise them like that. So anything that's gonna help them to become that, I'm not just because I'm worried about what somebody may think, or what somebody, like, I want him to get all the help he needs, man. And so when we found, like, well, let's get him tested, you know, because it was stuff that was going on. It's like, well, let's get him looked at. Let's see what's going on. Got him tested, found out he's on the, you know, he gets the medicine, things of that nature. It's just like, I know with Fury saying, some of his family members, things that, and people I've known as well in my family, you would like somebody that grew back in the day. Oh no, well, he'll be all right. Let's pray about it, or let's take him to church. Let's whoop him till he get right, and all that other stuff. Like, listen, I say this. I believe in discipline. I believe in discipline, man. I don't spell no rod around here. However, I ain't just swinging at my kids either. Like, everything, I'm a big proponent of, let's talk about it. Let's have a conversation. Let me explain to you why you shouldn't do this. Let's think of alternative ways to do this, or do so you won't do this again. Like, it's always, I don't just hit my kids just to, you know, I get out of that mindset. But it's like so much of stuff that we've experienced. That's why it's overwhelming. Yes, we do need therapy as Black men, because a lot of stuff we've experienced growing up, and I can't say it's all their fault, but it's a lot of that we experienced because that's what they were taught, and that's what they passed down to us.
Right.
So,
and then on that, because my dad told me a story about, you know, well, since we're on religion, it was a story he told me, and I live by this story to this day. It was this man it was a man stranded on an island. He'd been on an island for 3 days. And each day he prayed, God, please help me. Please come and save me. Please come and save me. One day, a boat came. He said, no, I'm going to keep praying to God. I'm going to keep praying to God. God, can you please come save me? Next day, a helicopter passed by. He said, no, I'm going to keep praying. God's going to help me. He's going to send me some help. The next day, another ship came. He said, no, God going to help me. So the man died. He went to heaven and he talked to God. He asked God, said, God, why didn't you help me but get me off that island? God looked at him and said, my son, I sent you 2 ships and a helicopter. You didn't catch on to that help?
Right. Right. It's like somebody mentioned in the chat, dude, I just gave you the thing. Just use it. Yeah.
So it goes to show you that God made certain people in these certain professions for you to use them to help.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I think Captain Zero. I had to remember the name of the comic trailer that I wanted to do. Just
Right.
You ain't see that helicopter, bro? For those of y'all that were at MomoCon, there's a new anime short coming out called Captain Zero. And it's specifically about a young man who has certain superpowers, but is also dealing with, like, I want to say clinical depression and anxiety, etc. And the trailer almost brought me to tears. It was so good. For everybody that's watching, if you just look up Captain Zero online, you probably catch the trailer on YouTube. It just went through the Tribeca Film Festival, and I think Whoopi Goldberg selected it as one of her shorts. Super happy. We actually interviewed them. So you'll see that coming from several of our channels in the next couple of weeks. The Captain Zero Squad. But it talks about mental health in a very explicit way. And the depression is actually personified through like these little like evil tentacles that come around the edges, voiced by Keith David, as a matter of fact. So it's gonna be worth seeing. And I think, you know, when we talk about being in nerdy spaces and dealing with trauma and dealing with mental needing help, and Good question. Is it Captain Zero or Captain Z-Ro? Zero, Z-E-R-O, Captain Zero, the first one.
Is this it right?
Yes.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yes. If you can find it, go to YouTube, and if you find Captain Zero trailer, or follow them on Instagram. Is there no way to share it on stream? I don't know if we can share it here. It is. Oh wait, Tony found it. So we'll give James. James is our producer. He's in the background there. We'll give James a moment to try to load that up and see if he can get that streaming. But yeah, that's it. That's it. If we can, we'll show it. And y'all may just see us just disappear, and he starts showing the clip. We'll see if that happens in a second. But I think that is a great coming together. When we talk about making space for ourselves, and then the journey that we've all been on as far as being Black nerds, and then to have an anime created by a Black man about mental health. That's a full circle moment. And I encourage everybody to go see it.
That's a campaign right there.
I just want to just what you just said. Oh, I would say it finishes.
Okay.
Because I wanted to see it, but yeah, I was gonna say
No. It's just funny. It happened how she said it was going to happen.
Yeah.
Xerxes?
Huh?
Lost you for a moment there.
Sorry.
Do you remember where we left off?
Yeah. The blackouts. You ever hear of the story of Icarus?
The boy who flew too close to the sun?
Sometimes I feel like that.
This is so good.
Sometimes I feel like I'm going crazy. Then, ever since I started this new job, the blackouts have been getting worse. It's a thankless job, really. Customers are assholes. Our PR sucks. Oh, and I'm pretty sure my boss is evil. I even got the cops called on me for trying to help people. Oh, and to top it off, no health insurance.
Wait, what is it you do again?
Freelancing?
All right.
Anyway, lately I've been having these dreams.
It's 5 minutes long. That might be a little bit long for us tonight. But do us a favor, James. Take the link that was put into that you pulled that from and put it in the comments so everybody that's watching can go check this out for themselves after watching us. But it's good. Yeah. It wasn't too long for me. I want you to see it on a bigger screen, like instead of just a piece of it. Like now, watch it on a big screen and with a subwoofer, it will make a difference.
Yeah. and I love the fact that it's the superhero telling the story of what's going on with him through his therapist. Mm-hmm. That part is just wonderful.
Yeah,
I've seen this several times in the chat about Ianu. How many people are familiar with it, have seen it, have caught the show on like YouTube or Cartoon Network, etc.? Y'all know Ianu?
I know of it.
Yeah,
I haven't seen it yet.
Who said they seen it?
I've seen it. Actually at MomoCon, because it was just on Cartoon Network on Saturday morning. So I watched like 2 hours of it, and I was like, "Oh, this is deep."
Yeah.
There you go. He's like, "Seen it? Psh, I got it right here." So what do y'all think of? You said it was deep. It was good?
Yeah, it was good. Like I'm still kind of jealous of the kids that are growing up these days because they get to see the representation that I wanted to see growing up in the different mediums that I consumed. So like, I'm just like, oh my God, it's so awesome. So like, yes, I think it's amazing seeing the story of a young black girl just go through her challenges and become the hero that her people needs. I think it's dope that it's on Cartoon Network of all things, because a show like that 20 years ago probably would have never even been greenlit to air on Cartoon Network. And there's another show that's on HBO Max that's like, it's like a Aqua Teen Hunger Force, but with black women. I started watching that, and I'm like, oh man, that's all about like decoding like black trauma and things like that, but like in this nonsensical. What? Say what?
What's it called?
I can't think of the name of it right now because I've seen every episode. I can't think of the name of it. But it's on HBO Max, and it's deep, it's funny, it's hilarious, it's real. It wish I can remember the name of it right now. We'll figure it out.
Let me see if I can Google it. Let's see.
You're not talking about young. Are you talking about Young Love?
No, it's not Young Love. It's what was it? Oh my God, yes, that's what it's called.
Oh
no, that's not it. That's it.
No. Oh my God, yes, is so damn good. Yeah, if you're not watching it, add it to your watch list.
Oh my God, yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh my God, yes. Okay.
Okay, I have to check that out.
Yeah.
It was a what was it? It's another show. I haven't seen it yet. I'll definitely have to check that out and try to watch that with my kids. I got my kids. We were watching Craig of the Creek. That's one of my. Listen, Craig of the Creek was amazing. And it's another show they had on. It's about a girl.
It is animated.
It's Indivisible or something. Invisible. She's a black. She's trying to be a wrestler. She's a little black girl.
Oh, that's good too.
That is
I really
amazing.
like that one.
Invincible. It's not Invincible. It's something like that. But she's like a little black girl. She wants to get into wrestling, and she's on this. The where she's from, everybody's like accountants. Her family goes to accounting school and all this, but she wants to be a wrestler. So she leaves, ends up leaving her city or whatever, and going off to the main city to become like a famous wrestler. It's so good.
Is it Invincible Fight Girl?
Invincible Fight Girl. That's exactly what it is. It's so good. It's really good.
So we got Oh My God, yes, and Invincible Fight Girl and Ianu.
And don't forget I Don't Want to Be a Magical Girl Anymore. That YouTube short, I saw that, and I'm like, I can't wait for this to be made into more stuff.
And on the big screen tip, Children of Blood and Bone is coming out. Well, it's being filmed. I think they just finished the cast not too long ago.
I got to finish that book before that movie comes out.
Yeah.
Also, hopefully this game come to PS5. The game that's on Xbox, I think, what is it? Midnight.
You're talking about South of Midnight. It's
amazing. Yeah, I really want that. I tried to. Yes, Children of Blood and Bone. The trilogy is going to be made. The first one's going to be made into a movie. I think they're done with casting. I don't know if they started filming yet.
I think they started. I think they took a picture from the set like long ago. But I played 2000 South of Midnight. I think maybe a little bit after it came out. But it's really good. And I know we talked about people. Black spaces, things that was a big on the gaming side, where you have so many, the whole woke thing now of make your own. We made our own, because I know the studio people talk about, the studio is a bunch of white people. Not everybody that worked at the studio is white. Also, black voice actress, black mocap actress. I think the lead, one of the lead producers was black. Some of the developers were black. But the story is you could say it's a black story. But South of Midnight is an amazing game. Yeah. They got the lore down. They work with I can't think of her name. She's a black lady. She's a folklore storyteller expert. I can't think of her name, but she helped them or consulted on the whole game. Listen, Unbalanced Mind. The Catfish was one of my favorite characters in the show. I mean, in the game, man. But if you get a chance, the story is really good.
South of Midnight is so good. I had to take breaks playing it because it got to a couple of points where I had to stop playing because of how emotional I got with some of the subject matter that they covered. The other thing that's wonderful is The black guy who played Jar Jar Binks, who then later was a Jedi in one of the Star Wars series.
Yeah.
He's one of the leads on the game. And if you remember a show called Vagrant Queen, the young black actress who was the lead on Vagrant Queen is the voice actress of the lead character in this game. I'm blanking on her name right now, but I just, as soon as I heard her, I was like, oh wait, that's the Vagrant Queen. But it's go play it if you can. Please go play it.
What kind of rig do I need to play it? Like, can I play it on my little raggedy computer right here? Because it's not on PS5.
I'm trying to think. It may not come. I'll say it may be a while, maybe a couple more months, maybe like the end of the year, maybe first part of next year, possible way Xbox are doing things. I don't think I don't think it requires a whole lot to run it. You can kind of, if you have you can get Game Pass on PC Game Pass. I think you can actually stream it, so you may be all right to run it on what you currently have.
Joy, how old is your laptop?
I don't know, 2 years.
Yeah, you can play it on your laptop.
I was like, yeah,
I just looked up the PC specs. You can play it on your laptop.
All right. I want to go back to
thank you, James.
Adrian, thank you. I want to go back to this making our own discussion though. Let's not get off of that because I think that, especially considering this group right here, all the content creators and everything. Tony, you said you wanted to discuss that, like just real. What you want to add to that discussion?
Well, the whole thing and stuff about support our own, create our own. All right. The main thing and stuff I want to bring up is that all of this stuff takes money. All right. Yeah. Animation's expensive. Making video games expensive. It takes a certain amount of money to put out a quality comic book. All right. If just to say, hey, we need to have our own, somebody still needs to finance that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And it's like, okay, to be straight honest about it, most of us are the descendants of slaves. We have no old money. Okay. So unless we all get together and get behind certain projects to put the money for them to get made, they're not going to get made. And most of the time, even if we create our own, for it to get out there to the point where other people can see it, you got to get a studio or somebody else to back it. And usually when they do that, they want you to give and sell them the rights to it.
And then they want to take it and tear it apart and make something else.
Right.
Yeah.
So the whole thing of like, oh, well, we need to have our own. To have our own still takes money.
Thanks.
All right. And that's the main thing that we need to figure out is how can we produce our own things and get access to the funds to do this without becoming indebted to others.
So James,
almost like we need a Black Wall Street of our own.
And we don't even need all that. James just mentioned support Kickstarters. So the other thing that we were going to talk about at some point tonight was adult money. And none of us may be independently rich, but we got $50. We got $100 to add to some of these Kickstarters. Matter of fact, I remember some of y'all familiar with Malachi Bailey. The way I met Mal was in some group. He wrote her. Some group on Facebook, blah, blah, blah. And he put a Kickstarter in there. And his thing was, if you've, certain levels, I'll make you a character in the sequel. And I was like, I had my good corporate American job at the time, making good six figures. I was like, pop, here's some money, put my name in the next book. And me and Mal have been cool ever since, but that is one of the ways to continue to support is, we all think, well, what's my little $50 going to do? A lot. Yep. If 1,000 people give $50, that's $50,000. And that is good seed money for whatever. Also, when you do get a rich backer, let's go back to that gatekeeping thing. Some rich backers are going to absolutely take your IP and exploit it. You got to be picky about that. But when Oprah tries to do something and she's not a real anime fan, blah, blah, blah. When Meg Thee Stallion is trying to put together an anime, yes, it'll be her own, but it will still be something in that space created for us and by us. And people try to say she's not a real anime fan because she's too fine. That don't even make no sense.
Nope, it doesn't.
It's ridiculous to me.
Not at all.
But we're sitting here asking for support and then eschewing the support because it doesn't come from where. I don't know where it's supposed to come from. If LeBron want to put together an anime or a game studio, let him. It might be some hits and misses, but there are people that are interested. And I think James said something in the comments a long time ago around so many pro athletes right now are gamers. Either into it, they've been making, doing jutsu and stuff. I almost said a bad word on the field. Some of their touchdown poses have been. I remember one time I saw two of them get together and do the fusion dance. So anime is trickling into nerddom, and blerdom is trickling into mainstream and mainstream money. So we are, I think, very close to having a base of not old money but big money to tap.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
But in the
Absolutely.
meantime, throw $50 on that Kickstarter.
Well, one of the things that I want to point out and stuff is like, something like animation is really expensive to do. A few years ago, when I was editor-in-chief of Terminus Media, we actually got hired by the CDC to do a motion comic. All right. And the CDC, even though we helped them get the bid and stuff to get the grant and everything else, they came up with $150,000. And so we put our team and everything together to do the motion comic. Then they showed it in front of focus groups, and the focus groups are like, "Oh, well, motion comics are just bad animation. We need you guys to like create like a full animation." And we had to go back to the CDC. It's like, you gave us $150,000. That's not going to give you a full animation.
No,
The best you do is maybe make it look like Archer, but that's the best you're going to do. Yeah. So a lot of people don't realize how much it costs
to do that,
to get these projects and get stuff done. Like I said, the basic personal thing, $150,000, that's a lot of money. It's like, no, it's not. And it takes a lot more than that to get animations done.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You make a really good point. I think I'm just going through some of the comments, like, helping out in other ways. And one of the things that folks don't understand is that sometimes it doesn't matter what something looks like. I was unbalanced minds. You know what? You were right there. I'm right there with you, because I think about story. If you have a really great story, you could put Legos out there, like real, just little blocks, and move them, put a face on the block if you can't afford the people Legos, and just move them around, stop motion style, and have a really great story. And I think the stories that we have to tell don't have to be beautifully rendered.
Yeah.
All of us, I believe, here are old enough to remember 8-bit games, right?
Yep.
You couldn't tell me that wasn't a dragon. I knew that those 5 bits was a dragon, but now I'm like, if it's not.
I still got my Atari 2600.
I cut my teeth on the Atari 2600. Yep.
I have that. That's one of my things about gaming now. Is people be so caught up in, it don't look good, or it don't. If the story is good, I'm gonna play it. If the gameplay, it don't have to be 4K 60 frames per second. If the story is good, decent gameplay, and I will play it. It's one game a game I enjoyed last year. There's like, I'm not a big platformer. I play some. However, Tales of Kinzera
so good.
I champion that game every time I get a chance. It's made by the guy's name is Abubakar Salim. He's I think Nigerian. I forgot exactly what nationality he is. I know he's black, but I'm not but which one he is. But he was right. He's British or whatever. He's an actor. He's been in Game of Thrones. He's been in Den of Wolves or whatever. I think it's something. It's a HBO shows. But he's an actor. He's also been a voice actor. He was the voice actor for Assassin's Creed Origins, Bayek, or what have you. However, he has a studio called Surgeon Studios. They created their first game, which was their first game, Tales of Kinzera. He talked about it at the Game Awards. I was so excited. I got to actually send a copy of it. Got a chance to review it and everything for the site I'm right for. But the game itself is amazing. The story alone is worth a playthrough. That story hits so hard and it's so good. They're working on another game. It's another game coming out this year called, I think it's this year. It comes out, it's called Reloot. Basically, it's a gang of thieves. And what they're doing is, they're playing, they're stealing art from, they're black. It's a gang of black thieves, and they're stealing art from like basically white people or Westerners who took the art from them. It's called Reloot.
They're gonna be like Killmongers.
Yeah. So and I'm saying it's games that are like that are coming out that, and it's going to be a lot of people. I'm going to say it's going to be a lot of white folks and other people calling this game woke, DEI, trash. It's going to be a lot of people it's going to be some people that look like me and you that's going to be calling this game woke and DEI trash and all that other stuff, man. But give these games a chance. Support these games, especially if you can support these people, these developers, because like if we can't support what we get, like for the good stuff, it's gonna be hard to get for them to keep making games like this for representation and things of that nature.
And that's another place where we, as folks with adult money, can come in handy. Is after something has been made, what kind of support does it get? The way we showed up for Sinners is unprecedented, and it wasn't just us, but we saw it so much that it made other people who don't look like us get curious because they want to know what we, they always want to know what we do. So they went to go see it too.
Black Panther.
Then the Irish got a hold of it, and that was a whole nother story.
Yeah.
But I think thinking about the stuff that's out there. At once upon a time, we had to support everything just to make sure something else got made. We can be a little bit more selective now, but if you see something that is excellent, share it, reblog it, repost it, talk about it. The way we just talked about Captain Zero here, get eyes on it.
Yes.
One of the reasons that I wanted to, because I thought we were showing the trailer for Captain Zero and it looked like it might be the whole short. Go watch the whole short. They need the views. So share that whole, I think it's 8 minutes or something like that. Share the whole thing with everyone so that they can get the shine and the cloud, the notice that they need, and we can keep doing that over and over again, because us in the 40s and up club, we have enough disposable income to support certain things from a consumer-based standpoint. We may not be able to fund new projects, but we can look at the ones that are already out. And the more they get selected and get some notoriety, get some good ratings, etc., the more likely a money-hungry studio is going to take a chance on another one, because they like to do something that looks just like the last thing. So when they start seeing that, black is hot. Remember how from beauty standpoints, it was all white women, and then it was like light-skinned black women, and then it was like Latina women. Whatever track they on, they feel like they can make money off that track, they'll continue to do it. So if they see, black people making comic books is the hotness right now, then they'll greenlight more of it. That's just my 2 cents. As a consumer, y'all can add on whatever y'all think, correct me or what have you. Anybody want to jump on that? I realized belatedly that I was talking too much, so I'm open it up.
Well, like I said, the main thing and stuff that, when they get around to supporting something and they put their money behind it, they also want some ownership of it. So like I said, Ryan, with his Sinners, he was able to work out a deal and stuff where, he gets a certain amount of money and ownership, and then after certain years, it reverts back to his family. Most creators don't get deals like that. He had to have a track record that he was a moneymaker, to get that deal, to shop his idea.
Right.
So, but like I said, most people don't get to do that.
Mm-hmm. Good point. And sometimes the art that you create ends up not looking like you thought it would on the big screen. I just read a book by, I forget her name, but anyway, it was called Death of the Author. And it's by Afrofuturist writer. I've read so much of her stuff and I can't call her name right now to save my life. But it's a book inside a book, and it talks about how she writes this amazing book and it gets turned into a movie. And once the movie is done, they've moved the location, they've changed the nationalities, all this stuff. She's like, this is not my book. So that happens. It happens a lot. Before we, because I know we're pushing up on like an hour and 38 minutes. So before we go any further, wait, what does it say? I believe that if people are more interested in animation, then they wouldn't support the animation that what? Hang on. I'm gonna try. I believe that if people are more interested in animation, then they wouldn't support for animation. They wouldn't show support for animation that were vague going through in the 90s, such as South Park. We just need to go. Okay, basically, I think he's saying. I think Lawrence is saying it doesn't matter what it looks like. If you're supporting it for the look, then that's one thing. But if you're supporting it for the story, it doesn't matter what it looks like. As evidenced by South Park, they on like 15 seasons or 25 seasons or something stupid like that, and it's still cut out two-dimensional, right?
And that
It
early
was also
South Park
inexpensive
looked,
to make.
and that early South Park looked real bad, but
Horrible.
enough people watched it that it
Mhm.
got eyeballs, and it got better, but it still retained that same 2D
Look.
cutout look.
Mhm.
But it was
Yeah.
it was so bad.
Hell, the original South Park look, like how they animated, was what got me into the show South Park. I was more enamored at the aesthetic of it because I was studying like cartoons and animation at that time, and then went off to college to go do some of that stuff. That's what got me.
Well, how many people would have actually watched Boondocks if it looked like South Park?
I would have, but I think that the fact that Boondocks looks like
Yeah.
anime helped it out better.
Yeah, I still would have. I like the whole concept of the Boondocks itself and the stories and everything that was going on. I had heard about I also had heard about the comic strip or whatever before before the actual show came out. So I had a little bit of reference there. So I was gonna watch it regardless of what was going on. So
that's the thing is
didn't that anime kind of help it a lot?
Oh, it definitely did. Especially someone who loved anime and the stuff that and how they tied kind of gave Huey some of the anime, like the you would say he was
the blind samurai.
I
Also remember that
does make a difference.
Yeah.
Boondocks also came from a extremely popular paper.
Comedy. It
already had an art style before it ever became a TV show.
Right.
Yeah, I've been reading Boondocks
also didn't own it anymore.
Say what?
Remember, the creator didn't own it anymore.
Aaron Magruder?
Yeah, he didn't own Boondocks anymore. That's why the final season had nothing to do with him.
Oh, okay. I thought you.
Oh,
what do you mean? He's all over the credits in the first few seasons, but like towards the end,
not over the credits. But like I said, he didn't own it.
The Chappelle Show. Yeah, they're like, we can do it without you. Then he's like, good luck with that, and it fell off.
Saw how that worked.
I do want to say, going back to the Boondocks looking like anime, what year was that? 2006 it came out, if I'm not mistaken.
Somewhere
I was in art school, the Art Institute of Atlanta, matter of fact. And some of my followers there are probably watching now. Yeah, they were around, and when the first episode dropped, we were in class the next day and on campus, and all we talked about was how good the animation was, and just hypothesizing about future episodes and what they're going to do, and just like so enamored with it. So just shout out to the Art Institute crew. I know you guys are watching, but I remember that night we was there talking about Boondocks. I went out and bought the box set after that just because of how good the animation was. So yeah, 100% the animation style of the Boondocks help sell it. Hell, I argue Boondocks is anime, like Avatar and Teen Titans and Samurai Jack and Afro Samurai, because they're all created and animated in the anime style. Their animation, or they're animated me.
Yeah, I was gonna say that earlier when you brought up the anime Captain Zero. We have this. I'm not gonna say we, but a lot of people have this trope or this. Oh, well, if it's not made over there, it can't be classified as anime. Do you know
like
what
champagne
anime means?
It's not made in Champagne, France. It's just sparkling water. Okay, well, give me some sparkling wine now.
You don't know anime. The meaning is still anime is basically just Japanese for cartoon. It's still a cartoon. Like it still is anime. So, and I've had this conversation with so many people, blurs, nerds, people are like even though it may not have came from that side, people look at Avatar: The Last Airbender. That you may say, oh, it's a Western cartoon. It's an anime. Like
that's
right.
Correct. That's a lot of, and that's I guess kind of triggered me. I'm like, bro, it's still an anime. Like that shouldn't matter. But yeah.
And to that, I say to the people who like, oh, if it doesn't come from Japan, it's not anime. I bring up Solo Leveling because that's Korean. So is Solo Leveling also not anime because it didn't come from Japan?
Boondocks was animated in Korea also.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. A lot of the things that we watch in cartoons and animation were all animated in Korea. The Simpsons is animated. Part of the Simpsons is animated in Korea. A lot of shows that are animated go through Japan and Korea because of just how media works and things like that. So half the
And
things
that's where
we
you
watch and
start to get
consume is
into.
technically anime.
That's where you start to get into some of the discrimination and racism and stuff that exists in nerdy spaces. Is they see black characters and they go, "That's not anime," because they're not white or white presenting. We won't even get into the whole Ghost in the Shell thing and how white folks try to let Scarlett Johansson do something like, yo, it's a whole thing. It's a whole mess. But yeah, I agree. Like James said, anime is just short for animation. Animation in and of itself is an English word. So it was Japanese giving a name to their cartoons based on an English word, and now we are not able to do that. That's goofy. Like, it's ridiculous. And also it goes to the idea of this isn't for you, this is for them, or they're the only ones that can make it, blah, blah, blah. I've seen more acceptance of different faces, different colors, different voice actors, really more meritocracy overseas than I've seen in the States. Think about the kid that did Dandadan, that did the voice acting for the main character, who is a young Japanese kid, but he's a black guy doing the voice. And when somebody did just a quick, skin tone swap, he was like, wow, this is cool thing. People wanted to hate him forever and cancel him and get him kicked off the show just because he was black. So that issue of
AJ Beckles.
Yeah, AJ Beckles. And that's crazy. It what a lot of people don't realize. It's a lot of your dub voice actors surprisingly are like, there is some black ones out there that a lot of people don't realize they're black. Hawks from MHA, his voice actor is black. Like it's so many that people don't realize, or whatever the case may be, man. And it's once like I said, we've came so far, but we still have so much room to grow, because you still get people like that. You still like to comment about cosplaying. Well, that's not a black character. It doesn't matter.
Right.
Like and it shouldn't be like that. But once again, it's kind of the way, unfortunately, the world is sometimes. But
look at you knowing mystery.
The
pawpaw of anime. Interesting. So speaking of, we've touched on this a little bit. I think y'all have talked about a lot of the up and coming like indie artists and black artists that are coming out. But what are y'all watching right now? What are y'all into from an anime standpoint or from a game standpoint? We just talked about South of Midnight. What else y'all playing and what else you're watching?
Well, I'll jump on that. As far as gaming, just finished not too long ago, Expedition 33. That's another really good game. Developers out of France. I can't think of the name of the studio right now, but when you want a good story, that game is amazing as well. If you get a chance to check that out, that's something I finished. Turn-based, however, it's not your normal turn-based. So but the story is good, the music is good. Also, there's another thing about South of Midnight. Their music in South of Midnight is really good as well. But doing that, playing some other games, Stellar Blade, RoboCop. Got a Steam Deck, so I'm playing a little bit. Playing a few Steam games on my Steam Deck. As far as watching, I'm actually not watching anything new per se. I'm actually going through. I'm watching the old Doctor Who stuff. I'm right now on Tom Baker. I'm on his run right now. I'm enjoying that. Whatever you. So I recommend anybody. If you like sci-fi and the wonkiness, Doctor Who is amazing. So,
but let them know, if you're watching the old Doctor Who, you gotta warn them about how cheap some of the special effects look.
Oh no! Listen,
now the writing, everything else about it is great.
Yeah,
but those special effects and those costumes from those old Doctor Who's, it looks cheap. So just to warn you before you look at it and say, what is this trash?
I agree.
I feel like the first Dalek was like a trash can with a plunger in his hand.
That's exactly what it was.
Listen, when I tell you that animation, man, I was watching it in the bedroom. My wife walked in and she was like, what in the world is this? Like it looked so bad, man. And that's why I tell people like HGTV's messed up a lot like of stuff. But also just real quick on Doctor Who, Nocti, I can't think of how to pronounce his last name, but he just finished being the Doctor Who, the last Doctor we had, black guy.
Ncuti
Gatwa. Listen, I was a little worried. That first season took me a while to get used to him, but that second season was really good. I think he left too soon, or he got, I ain't gonna say pushed out, but they got rid of him too soon. But if you get a chance, check out his run as well as Doctor Who, man. He did a really good job, especially this last season. It was short. Hater was short, but everything that we're doing a lot of this last season was so good with him. But
okay. Who else? Tony?
Oh, I guess I am next. Well, actually, I haven't been playing any video games for like quite a while. I need to get back with my Z Squad group and stuff and start back playing some video games. But basically, when I go home in the evenings, it's like basically my homework is to watch anime. Right now, I'm rotating between One Piece, My Hero Academia Vigilantes, and my favorite right now, because a bunch of my female customers told me I need to watch it, is Apothecary Diaries.
Yes.
Apothecary Diaries is good. I'm definitely enjoying that.
I was hoping you was going to say, you said my favorite is like the girl said to watch it. Yes. Yes. It is it's an excellent show. I ran through the whole thing in like 4 days. It was great. Furious. What about you?
Video game wise, I am currently a new expansion came out for the Division 2. So what I did was I went back and started a new character, and I am playing the Division 2 from the very beginning again. Okay. I got a friend of mine that for people who may not know what the game is about, what he and I have decided is what would have happened had the January 6th insurrection succeeded. And that's kind of how we look at the Division video games, is we're, essentially taking back our America from these crazed lunatics.
Yeah, that's not,
from the January 6th insurrectionists. That's kind of how that's our little take on it. But yeah, so I'm playing the Division 2. As far as what I'm watching, I am rewatching Star Trek Deep Space Nine. Because
me too.
I saw that you had the shirt on, Tony. I saw that. When it was on the first time, what I'm noticing is I missed a lot of it because back then there was no, let me just record it on the DVR. If you missed it, you just missed it. And a lot of times what I'm noticing is I've seen a lot of episodes now that I don't ever remember seeing when it was on TV. So it's filling in some gaps for me. And it's just really cool rewatching it to see the changes in Cisco, from them not letting him have the beard and forcing him to keep some hair on his head, to he kind of gradually brings in the beard. And then you just see him show up one day with no hair and the beard. And you're like, I finally got Hawk on Star Trek.
And they gave him a ride and he pimped it out.
Right.
Yeah, the Defiant. I love that show.
Yeah. The other thing that I'm also watching is, if you've ever seen the original Trigun that came out either in 98 or 99, they redid it, and it's called Trigun Stampede, that came out sometime in 2023, which is just a retelling of the original story with a different animation style. It's a little softer, but I like it. And there are some things from the way they're telling it that I didn't notice from the original Trigun run. So I like when shows will get a retelling and you start to pick up other things that you didn't pick up before.
Yeah.
All right. Shout out to Unbalanced Minds suggesting Kamen Rider. Again, like in case you didn't hear the first time, Kamen Rider is so dang good.
I need to get into that.
Kamen Rider is like really good. It's adult Power Rangers, if you want to think of it like that.
Say less.
I have belts.
Say less.
Immediately.
say less. Listen, I'm a Power Ranger fan, so say less.
Anthony, what you doing? What you up to?
How they morph is cool.
After spending over 6,000 hours in Destiny 1 and 2 for the last 10 years, I took a break. I did play God of War Ragnarok last year, which was an amazing game. But I've started playing Hogwarts Legacy a little while ago, so I'm going to try to finish that and then try to pick up The Last of Us. I haven't played that game because we just recently got a PS5. So. I watched the show, like the show. We cover the show on the podcast, but I do want to start the game, but I need to finish it. And I also started Ghost of Tsushima, which is also a really amazing,
really good game.
Really good game. As far as show, we watch things for the podcast. So right now my mind is kind of blank on what I'm watching. But recently I started rewatching Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Oh my God, yes.
From sort of a counseling standpoint, because there's a lot of good stuff.
Yes.
Yeah, it's deep. It's really deep.
It is. When you talk about Black men and mental health, you can tell, watching it through a new lens, you can really see Sam running away from getting any kind of help. Because even Bucky points out to him, he tells him, you probably need help too. He's like, nah, I'm good.
Which is exactly what we were talking about earlier. That whole, I don't need this. I'm fine. It's just a flesh wound. Okay.
Yeah.
For myself, like you, I put a good, several years of my 10 years running from 2014 to 2024 or early 2025, I was playing Destiny.
Yeah.
And every now and then I'd stop and play something else. And then it got on my nerves and I quit. Like I just quit cold turkey one day. Like I'm done with Destiny. Jumped into Diablo. So I've been on Diablo 4 for a little while. Running everything except the Druid. I think I've done all the other characters. I like barbarians who like to run in and beat up people.
Beat heads. Love it.
You don't like turning into a big bear?
No, I don't want to be a big bear or a werewolf. I wanted to run in and beat people with my hammer, my sledgehammer, or a sorcerer. I like setting people on fire too. So I was fireballing last season, like all day. I haven't finished Ragnarok because I felt some type of way about it not being old boy from Living Single on The Voice anymore, and they changed it to like a Nordic thing. So it took me a moment to get my mind around that. But I'm going to go back to the game. And Hogwarts Legacy, I picked it up for like what, $7? Like a couple months ago. I was
That's
like,
a really good game.
But I haven't finished it. But yeah, so that's what I'm on right now. And I'm gonna get into was it Tales of Gunzera? Because I just looked and I think it is available on PlayStation.
Yeah, Tales of Gunzera is on it's on everything. So
yeah, all right, word. I'm gonna get into that. Skip, what you doing, Skip?
I'm in the process of moving, so I ain't playing nothing right now. But what I was playing is, since I'm a police officer, it's a game called The Precinct. I played it for a little bit, looked like something I'm gonna get into and start back streaming. And like I said, I've just been moving, so I'm trying to get this move done so I can start getting back to what I need to do.
Right. That's your side quest is moving right now.
Yeah, right now.
Right, Mark, what about you, son?
Y'all free to help. Y'all want to help me, but
no.
Too old for that. I don't do that no more. I hire movers.
As far as me,
truck every time.
As far as me, I'm not really playing or watching anything outside, I guess, Rick and Morty and just getting ready for football season. I'm kind of like Skip. I'm not side questing. My main quest is getting this content stuff in order and making sure I get my editing done. So I've been kind of geeking out to my own geekiness, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
That's weird. That's weird. Yeah, that's weird. That's a weird thing to say. But yeah, I've been geeking out to myself. I've been doing a lot of cool things. If you guys are subscribed to my channel, you're in for a treat over the summer in the next couple of months because I got so much awesome stuff that I've done coming out. To even the point where I can't even believe it. So yeah, I'm geeking out to me.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Cool.
That's what's up. Well, I want to thank you all for a really good panel. We didn't get to all the questions, which means we should probably do this again. Matter of fact, Unbalanced Mind said earlier that, they could watch this all night and that this should happen more frequently. So hopefully we'll be able to pull y'all together again to continue this conversation and get to some of the stuff we didn't get to. Yes, see, again, yes. So I'm going to ask you all to come back at some point. But for tonight, I think we're going to wrap up. Just want to say before we go, I see some of y'all have your names and stuff up, but starting again with Husky Hokage, tell everybody where you'd like them to find you and follow you.
Yes. I am the Husky Hokage, just as you see it here on everything. You can follow me on TikTok, Twitch. Like I said, I stream. My content is on there. Instagram, YouTube. I post my shorts and stuff on YouTube. Also, you can also follow me over at the Blerd Syndicate on YouTube as well. My podcast, Victory Road, a gaming podcast, presented to you by the Blerd Syndicate, airs on Thursdays at 7:30 p.m. Central Time over on the Blerd Syndicate YouTube, also on my Twitch channel. Also, I didn't bring it up earlier, but we play D&D as well over at the Blerd Syndicate. Our newest episode of the Blerd Syndicate plays D&D is out now. Actually, we our D&D is about we are a monster hunter type of thing where we hunt like monsters, vampires, things of that nature. We're currently on is wrapping up our current campaign or what have you, so you can check that out right now. Also, if you're in or around the city of Birmingham, I'm gonna help you out, Skip, with this one. This weekend, we're doing my podcast, Victory Road. We're doing a panel at the African American Comic Book Expo this Saturday at 12:30. So if you're around Birmingham or in the area, make sure you come to the come to the expo. It's amazing. This is the second one. And we'll be doing our panel. Chime in. We're gonna be talking about gaming expectations and all the other stuff. So if you're around Birmingham, we'll go see you there Saturday, man. But yeah, that's it.
All right. Tony, where can they find you?
Oh, well, I got my staff that hooked up all the different social media stuff, but basically stuff just follow Challenges Games on all the different platforms, so you can see all the stuff that we're doing. We got a Discord, we got, of course, the Instagram and all that other stuff. And also follow the Atlanta Sci-Fi and Fantasy Expo. We're about to we're trying to get together and get everything organized for our 7th show, since we brought it back after the pandemic. And follow the Fox Chronicles. I'm about to launch my Kickstarter for my indie comic. And as of today, except for the credits page, the 2nd issue is completed. So
Wonderful.
when we go and do the Kickstarter, nobody's going to have to wait. It's like, go ahead and pledge. A month later, we're sending it to the printer and get it in your hands.
Awesome.
Nice.
Okay. Unbalanced Mind says their Discord is Kid to the Crazy X. Or Kid to the Crazy X. I want in. All right. See, we're building our community. Making connections.
Ooh, bless you.
Furious.
Thank you.
You can find me on all the social media platforms at Mr. ATL for Life. MRATL, the number 4 life. Find me on all the socials at that handle.
All right, cool. Skip.
What's going on, everybody? You can find me on all social platforms: Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, Instagram. And yes, I was the White Ranger that was standing in the window at MomoCon that was aura farming. If y'all would say that was me.
The aura farmer.
We got some things coming up, like you said. Like my boy, the Husky Hokage, will be at our African American Comic Expo 2025. This is the 2nd year we're having it. Shout out to AG Gaston from Boys and Girls Club for letting us host. It's going to be from 12 to 5. $10 to get in, half price if you bring a book bag, because we're getting ready to do our back to school drive. We're going to get 100 book bags to give to 100 kids to get them ready for school. Once I finish moving, the Blerd Over podcast will be back, and being the Blerd interviews will be coming back. So if you want to be interviewed by your boy, just hit me up in the DMs, and we're going to get this thing rolling and popping so the world can see and hear your story. But yeah, follow me on all social platforms. I'm also on ChristianPeople.com as well if you want to meet up.
Are you eating sunflower seeds?
Did he just say he's on ChristianPeople.com promoting?
He did. I saw you over there like shaking dice. I was like, what? I bet that's sunflower seeds. This might be the blackest thing that happened all night.
Right.
I love it.
Sunflower seeds and Pedialyte.
Right? Look, he getting his salt in for that for sure.
Well,
Where can we find you?
If y'all get dehydrated, please get some Pedialyte, because
it's better than Gatorade. Gatorade is Kool-Aid and salt.
I was dehydrated.
Okay. Good plan.
You can find me on all social media platforms at MitchAnt2. That's MICHANT2. You can also find me at the Fandom Hybrid Podcast.
The Fandom Hybrid?
Fandom Hybrid podcast. Yes. And the next time, if you want to meet me or see me, you can come to the ATL Comics Convention. That's July 18th through the 20th here in Atlanta. So I'll be down there.
I might try and run through there myself. And Mark.
Yo. All right. So again, I'm Mark. This is Blerdography. You can find me on all social media platforms across the board at Blerdography. You can watch Blerdkast on YouTube and Spotify and all these other amazing places. I'm closing out, right? This is the closing. I want to thank. Oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Say what you're saying.
Oh, okay. Again, I just wanted to thank everybody for coming on. I honestly did not think the In Nerdy Spaces series was going to take off and do what it's doing, but somehow it did. This is like the 8th or 9th episode of this particular subject matter that we're doing. So yeah, this is definitely going to be an ongoing series. Every Monday is going to be an In Nerdy Spaces episode live if I can help it. Next Monday, I have queer people in Nerdy Spaces. I have a bunch of other guests on, and then after that, OGs in Anime Spaces. I'm taking a fan suggestion, and we're gonna run with it. So we're gonna do OGs in Anime Spaces. That's gonna be a really good episode in July. I have episodes planned out, and I'm working on August now. So again, if you like this In Nerdy Spaces series, where we come on and just talk about all things within the Blerd diaspora, within Nerdy Spaces context, just let me know, because I didn't think this was going to take off and be what it was. So again, I just want to thank everybody for coming on. Tony, Skip, Anthony, Husky Hokage, again, the best name out there for a content creator. I swear to God, I wish I had thought about that with myself. You guys are amazing. And everything that y'all do within the Blerd space and the Blerd community is just amazing. And I've had each and one of y'all on my channel at one point or another, just praising y'all for the nerdy things that y'all do. So just thank y'all and keep it up.
Appreciate
What's
it, man. Thank
OG
you.
in Anime Spaces?
Oh, okay. So OGs and Anime Spaces, old gangsters. That's gonna be someone like Tony Cade, gangster.
Original gangsters, not old.
Okay, there you go. Okay, I'm sorry. Original gangsters. Okay, we're gonna be original gangsters. All right. But yeah, I can't remember who gave me the idea, but it was at MomoCon that they ran up to me. It's like, you need to do old people in in Anime Spaces. I'm like, bet. It's an episode. So we're gonna do it. We're gonna talk about anime.
Talk about, Speed Racer and Astro Boy and stuff like that.
Wasn't it like Montel in the Navy, that guy?
I don't think it was him, but he's gonna be in the episode. So we'll figure out who gave me the idea.
Okay. Cool. Well, I am Joyride08 I'm Joy Stevens. You can find me at Joyride08 on all the places where I want you to find me. And put it that way, because I keep certain things compartmentalized. You can find Joyride08, you will find me where I want to be found. Instagram, Thread. If you follow me on Threads, you're gonna get K-pop. I'm just warning you right now. But everything else is mostly militant stuff and funny Black things. But I want to thank all of y'all for coming out. I also want to say that I'm here in a dual role, because this is a collaboration. This particular night is collaboration between the Moana Nui podcast and the Blerdkast presents. So follow both. Follow Blerdography, follow Blerd Over, follow Challenges Games, follow Mr. Ed, follow everybody out here. And also follow the Moana Nui podcast. That way you can get your algorithm bringing you all the Black excellence you can stand. All right. Amen. So make sure you are looking for us, because we're looking for you. All right. And with that, on behalf of myself as a moderator and James, who is our producer in the background, I want to thank everybody for coming out tonight. This has been fun. I appreciate y'all letting me hang with, the Black men in Nerdy Spaces and moderate this conversation. And I wish you all the best. Thanks for coming out. God bless and good night. James, take us out.
So many stories left to tell, even if we have to ourselves. Can't keep history on the shelf. If they won't tell it, we will.
If this the land of the free, it was a freedom then, when they annexed Hawaii and called it Cedar Lands, without any type of payment and no signing off. Called themselves a republic in 1894. 1.2 million acres overtaken from the native Hawaiians. When they resisted, the West retaliated in violence and erasure. The Hawaiian language is banned as part of colonialism's plan to expand, yeah.
Stuck between a rock and a hard place. Multiple bombings of Kaho'olawe as a part of their ongoing war with Asia. Used it as a place for target practice. No consent or compensation. Colonizers call for annexation. No regard for all the locals. School will never let you know. So many stories left to tell, even if we have to ourselves. Can't keep history on the shelf. If we won't tell it, we will. Too many stories left to tell, even if we have to ourselves. Can't keep history on the shelf. If we won't tell it, we will. We will.
So if we put Hawaii into perspective, well, Black and Asian history is interconnected. Considering the fight with the Pacific, then of course versus Asia, they was treated as a middleman for war, but didn't let the Western colorism run its course. Cause dark skin was a sign of dignity to core. The land was taken in the name of capitalism, when prior to it was an actual kingdom. Clap back at the system.
Stuck between a rock and a hard place. Multiple bombings of Kaho'olawe as a part of their ongoing war with Asia. Used it as a place for target practice. No consent or compensation. Colonizers call for annexation. No regard for all the locals. School will never let you know. So many stories left to tell, even if we have to ourselves. Can't keep history on the shelf. If we won't tell it, we will. Too many stories left to tell, even if we have to ourselves. Can't keep history on the shelf. If we won't tell it, we will. So many stories left to tell, even if we have to ourselves. Can't keep history on the shelf. If we won't tell it, we will. Too many stories left to tell, even if we have to ourselves. Can't keep history on the shelf. If we won't tell it, we will. We